Hi, this is Trinesha Cottrell, and today I wanted to talk about get in position. So, what made me wanted to talk about get in position is earlier today I was listening to this sermon, and the pastor talked about how for Moses, he had to be in a certain position. He he of course, had a stutter is what they were saying, and he really couldn't talk like that. But then when it was time for him to tell Pharaoh to let his people go, he didn't have a stutter. He knew what to say then, but that's because God was in it. Sometimes when we are living life, we want like a play by play on how our life is supposed to go. We want to know every single step in our position in our life. We want to know exactly where we need to be, when we need to be there, when God is saying, go do this. But most of us don't move until we know the whole plan, until we know everything from start to finish. But we're not going to know God's plan because we're not God. And so for me, when I was hearing the story and I heard about Nehemiah, it really made me think about how we need to get in position. It made me think about how God's been giving me direction in my life. And it's so funny because it's true when they say that you always want something that you can't have or that you don't have or the grass is greener or whatever analogy or metaphor it is that you hear when people always say things like that, and you're always saying, oh, it must be nice to be single, it must be nice to be married, it must be nice to be working, it must be nice to stay at home. Whatever it is that you don't have is what it seems like. It always looks better, but the grass is always greener where you water it. And I didn't say that. I got that from my pastor. I'm not sure if it's his quote or something else, but that's where I got that saying from. Because when I heard it, I was like, oh, that's a whole word. Because we always hear everyone say the grass is greener, the grass is greener. But when you truly understand that wherever you're putting your effort in, wherever you're actually putting in that work is where it's going to prosper, is where it's going to flourish because you're being intentional in that area of your life. You're being intentional with that person, with that place, with that thing. And so I think for us, we just really need to be mindful of the fact that instead of thinking of what we don't have, we need to be thinking of all the things that we do have in our life, to be grateful for everything that God has already given us and know that we are blessed even more than we already should be. Like if God wasn't so gracious, if God wasn't so didn't have so much grace and mercy, if God didn't love us the way that he did, we wouldn't have anything. So everything that we're getting is just a bonus. Everything in our life is a bonus. Being able to breathe is a bonus. Being able to walk, to talk, to have blood in our lungs, to see our family members, our friends, to be surrounded by people who love us, to be working a job or to be staying at home, to have kids, to not have kids. Everything that we have is a blessing. Every single thing. And anything else that we get is just an added bonus. It's just an extra benefit that we get in life. It's something additional on top of the blessings that we already have just by waking up every single morning. Because when I wake up, I really think about how not a lot of other people got the opportunity to wake up. I think of how not a lot of people get to be in the position that I'm in. Not a lot of people get to have a healthy, beautiful child. Not a lot of people and smart. And so like she really just speaks her mind. Not a lot of children do that, and I'm so grateful for having that because I feel like whenever she is going through something, it might be easier for her to talk about it because she's so outspoken. And so I'm grateful for all of that. I'm grateful for having the opportunity to be a parent. I'm grateful for, and I can go on and on and on. Like in the morning when I wake up before I get ready for anything, that's what I do. I do a grateful list. I do a list of the things. I thank God for everything. I do like a devotion or a prayer. And in the morning, I just go down a list of things from seeing to smelling to tasting to hearing to the blood in my veins to walking to all my fingers and my toes to being able to have functionability in my limbs. Like everything that I think of, and especially with, the vid that was out, it's like it really did make me appreciate all of the senses that I had. It's really like it's so funny because we always think that about the bad and things that happen in life. But sometimes those bad things are needed to make us who we are. Sometimes we go through those things and we're thinking, oh, my life would be so perfect if. That's nothing but the adversary trying to make you see what you're at lack of. Just like Adam and Eve, they were at lack of nothing. They had every single thing they could possibly want right at their fingertips, but they wanted this piece of fruit. They wanted some fruit so badly just because Satan tempted them by making them think that they were missing something. And we're not missing anything. We're not missing anything by being in a relationship, pouring all that energy into someone else. I mean, when it's time, of course, or when you're in a marriage, you're not missing anything being single, because being in your marriage, being in covenant, you have each other's back. You have a partner. You have someone who can do life with you. You have someone who you can discuss different things with, someone who is supposed to be there for you. You have someone who is like your best friend. You have someone who you, if you guys have built trust, don't have to worry about wondering about different things. I'm not saying they're not going to be human and make mistakes. I'm just saying that in general. So be grateful for what you have, because it's so easy to think of the one thing that you don't have in your life and feel like you're at lack of something. It's so easy to look out at what someone else is doing and think, oh, but I'm not in this position. You're not ready for that position yet. If you were ready, God would give it to you. If it was yours, you would have it. Sometimes I really feel like we don't understand that. Sometimes we really feel like because it looks so appetizing or pleasing that this is what we need, but it's what we want. That's not the same thing. Sometimes we really think like it would be so cool to have a group of friends, but a group of friends might not be what you need because you need to be focused right now. Your one friend or your two friends is exactly what you need. Two people to hold you down, to have your back, that you can talk to about different things, that you guys can hold each other up, can be there for one another. And you don't have to try to spread your time between 10 other people. It's just you and two other people. That's exactly what's fit for your life. Nothing more, nothing less. And it's so funny though, because when we start to ask ourselves, why do we want it? Most of the time we can't even discuss, or we can't even express why we want it. Like it's so funny because I had one of my friends one day ask me, why do you want to be in a relationship? Or why do you not want to be in a relationship? Something like that. And I couldn't even think of a reason why I wanted to. Couldn't even think of it. I wanted it so badly for no, like, but I couldn't articulate. I couldn't express the reason why I even wanted it. So just take a moment right now or after the video, write it down, like to just look back at it later. Really think about the reason why you want that thing. Why do you want to be in a relationship so badly? Why do you want to be single so badly? Why do you want the job so badly? Do you want the job for security? Because there's no such thing as security in a job. There's always going to be things that are changing. There's always going to be things that are moving. There's always going to be life happening. So what is it that you really want? Do you want the job because it will make you feel better? Do you want the job because it will give you a sense of identity? Do you know who you truly are without the position, without the person, without you saying, I'm single, and that's your title? That's who you are. That's not who you are. That's just one of the things about you. That is not you. So when you really truly think about the reasons why you want these things in life, really take a moment, take 5 minutes, and write down a list of the things of why you really want that so badly. And honestly, you might draw a blank at the beginning. You might say a bunch of frivolous things that seem like they would matter, but when you say them out loud, you're like, that's not really that important. Why am I worried about this? And it's so funny because I read this book the other day called, oh my goodness. It was called Win Your Inner Battles by Darius Forax. And it basically just talked about you really taking a moment to think about why you're thinking the way you do, why it's so important to you, why that thing really matters to you. And as I sat there really thinking about the things that I wanted in my life and the reasons why I wanted them, some of those reasons weren't even good reasons. Some of them were because when I was younger, that was something that I felt like would make me or identify me as a person. That was something that would mean that I was being successful because I did this thing, because I said this thing, because I was in this position. But that position isn't always going to be there. That person may not always be there for whatever reason. So you have to decide who you are, with or without those things. You have to decide what things really truly matter to you and for the right reasons. And so, as I thought about getting in position, I thought about how I was in my waiting season and I'm still in a waiting season, but I'm in a different period where God has given me direction. So I have like some directions on things that I need to be doing right now. And so God is, it's so funny because when I was in my waiting season, I was just like, oh my gosh, it just feels like it's taking forever. I don't know why, I don't have this right now. I don't know why I'm not doing this, why I'm not doing that. And I just felt like I had to be constant. I had to constantly be going, constantly be hustling, constantly be having my hand in everything. But I'm not God. God is God. God is the one who should be in control. He is the one who is doing everything for our benefit. And so when I think about all of the things that I've done for no reason, like I did it to look busy, not to actually be busy, not to actually be in purpose on some of the things that I've done because I got so used to constantly going and going. And now that God has given me direction, he's been saying to get in position, to prepare myself, to be ready for what it is that he's about to bring to me. And it's so funny because I was thinking about being intentional this year and God had gave me like this revelation on being intentional with my life and not just with the little things, but being intentional about everything. Like I want to learn this new thing. I need to be intentional about it. I want to be in a different position. I need to be intentional about it. I want to learn more about this thing. I have to be intentional. I want to sleep better. I have to set up a sleep schedule. I have to be intentional in every area of my life. If I want to be in a relationship when God is ready for me to be in one, I need to be intentional. I need to be working on myself now. I need to be making sure that I am where I need to be mentally, physically, emotionally. I need to make sure that all the things that I'm doing in my purpose, I'm putting all the effort I can into it now because I might not have as much time as I do right now as I have today. And sometimes we forget that relationships do pull more energy from you. They do pull you in different directions. And you can say, "Oh, I'll be in a relationship and I'll be fine. I'll be doing this, this, and this." Yes, you will, but eventually you'll want to spend time with that person sometimes. Eventually you'll have a date night. Eventually you will be doing other things. And it's not that you're intentionally moving your focus from your purpose or from other things. It's just that you're adding another person in, which adds extra time that's taken away from something else because there's only 24 hours in a day. You can't just still have 24 hours and give one away. So you really have to be intentional with what you're doing right now. You really have to be preparing for whatever else it is that God wants you to be doing in your life and whatever it is that He wants you to where He wants you to be right now. It's no better time than right now. Like instead of procrastinating, instead of putting it off, instead of being like, I'll do it tomorrow, I'll do it next week, I'll do it in a minute, do it now. This year, I was getting ready to hang up a jacket or something, and I was like, I'll do it after I go in. I'm gonna like cleanse my face and do something else, and then I'll put it away. And then I thought to myself, why am I procrastinating? Why am I not doing this at this very moment? There's nothing stopping me. The hanger's right there. The jacket's right there. I literally just have to hang it in the closet. So I'm postponing something for no reason. And I truly feel like that's how we are with God sometimes. Sometimes we feel like, oh, God is saying do this. As long as I do it, that's fine. I don't have to do this right now. And then we wonder why it takes 3 months for us to get that thing that God promised us. Or it takes 15 years because we decided to just stall or we decided to do our own thing in the meantime because we could just wait. God would just wait for us. Sometimes we don't understand how important it is to move when God says move, to be in position ready for the things that He's about to bless us with. We can't get any of the blessings that God is going to send us if we're not there. I I used to listen to this inspirational thing. It had a mix of different people. It had a bunch of different like well-known speakers or whatever, and they all were on this group thing together, and they weren't there at the same time. It was just like clips from each one, but they were all put into one video. And whenever I would need a little extra motivation, I would listen to it. And one of the people who was speaking said something like, you ask God for something, and as soon as you ask for it, He's sending it to you, but you're not going to receive it if you're not in the position where He intended for you to be at that time. But He said it in a different way. And then He said something like, he said the minute that you ask God for it, He takes it up, He puts it in a package, and He ships it to the address of where you're supposed to be. And then a lot of people will say they don't understand why they didn't get the package or why it didn't happen. And He's like, it's going to happen as soon as you ask for it, but it's going to happen at an appointed time. And I was like, that's so true. Because sometimes we want things right at this moment. We want it right now. And that's not God's time. That's our time. We might not be ready for that yet. I might not be ready for a person yet. I might not be ready for my business to go to a different level yet. Maybe there's some things I need to learn. Maybe I need to be a different person. Maybe I need to learn to be, there's a couple things that have to break off of me first before that can happen. And I don't want anything prematurely. I want to make sure that God, excuse me, I want to make sure that God breaks everything off of me that He needs to get off of me before He blesses me with anything that He has for me. I don't want any person to enter into my life prematurely and I ruin the situation because I'm not ready. I don't want any person to come and want to be with me and I still have some immaturity, or I still have some things that I have to learn about myself, or there's still some things that I need to do in my purpose. I don't want to I don't want anything before it's time. I don't want to just jump ahead of God. I need God to make a way for me because I'm not going to make it any other way. And so I really didn't want this video to be long. I wanted to make sure I kept it short and sweet unless, something moves in my spirit. And I just, in conclusion, I really want you to think about getting in position. I want you to think about where God is telling you to go, what He's telling you to do, and do it now. Don't wait until tomorrow. Don't wait until next week. Don't wait until a year from now. Because a lot of the times, what we'll do is we will postpone what it is that God gave us direction on. And we'll say, oh, we'll do it in a month or a week. And the next thing you know, a year has went by. And you realize that if you would have done it right then, you would be in a totally different position this time next year. But because you were disobedient, because you decided to do your own thing, because you felt like you could just do it whenever, now you are missing your blessings. The blessings that God had just for you, you won't even get to receive because you weren't at the place that God intended for you to be. Sometimes we hold on to people thinking that this is something that's for us. We don't understand why we can't have this person or this friend or whatever it is. And the whole time God is saying, you're holding on to them and I have something better for you. You're holding on to them. You're holding on to this thing and it's postponing your blessing. It's not allowing me to give you the things that I can give you because I can't give that to them. They're not ready for it. You might be ready, but they're not. Even if this is the right person, wrong time, the things that I have for you in this moment are going to allow you to be in the right position so that when they are ready, they will be there. I'm not saying anything about like waiting around for anyone or anything like that. I'm just saying that God has perfect timing for everything. There's a lot of things that happen in my life, and if God would have told me the plan, I would have messed up the whole thing. It would have definitely not happened the way that it was supposed to happen. So I'm so glad that he is a God who just strategizes, because without his strategy, my life would be, it would be horrible. It would be crazy and so unstructured. But with him, it's like building a house. It's like building something from the foundation up. Everything that we go through is another layer, adding to the house that we are, adding to what we are, what we are becoming, until we're built to our full potential. And anytime that we hold back, it's like when the rain or the snow comes and the builders have to wait because they can't do things with the different types of weather. That's how it is when we wait. When it's God's time, everything just flows at the moment it's supposed to, and it's built to perfection, flaws and all. There might be that one brick that has a little chip in it, but the house looks perfect. So when you're thinking about waiting for something, when you're thinking about postponing things that you can do at this very moment, think about how you could be missing your blessings. Think about all the blessings that God has just for you that you won't be able to receive because you won't be there. That jacket, that thing that's holding you up, that person that you're trying to hold on to is putting you back 6 months. It's holding you back a year. It's holding you back 12 years. The people who escaped from Pharaoh did not think that they would be on a 40-year-long journey, or however long. I have to say that because I feel like there's going to be someone who's like, oh, it's actually, but that's fine. Correct me if you need to, because I'm learning just like everybody else. And I want to know as much information as I can about the Bible. And I want to read it for myself. Just like I always tell other people, read it for yourself, learn the story for yourself, so that you can see the things that God wants to illuminate for you, so that he can give you a revelation, so that he can guide you in the way that you're supposed to be in this life, in your life. And when I say in this life, I mean in this lifetime, the time that you have right now on earth before you go to heaven, before you pass on, whatever else. So I just wanted to make sure I clarified that. So get ready, get in position, because God and that person, place, or thing that God has for you is waiting on you.